guys, welcome back to Steve's Backyard Bike and Car Repair Tips. I got the Dyna up on the lift today. I'm going to be installing some new shifter linkage on it. So here we go, we got the bar and shield. I call this the edge pattern, it's slotted. And I'll show you why. So on my bike, and it came with a lot of this already, so the handle grips, or grips I should say, are edge, and my shifter and my highway pegs are edge. So this matches really well, and I actually hope I'm going to be getting the levers as well and getting the levers to match, because that should dress the bike up real nice. So the problem with the FLD, so the Dyna Switchback is sort of a loner as far as Harleys go. It's sort of a hybrid. It's obviously a Dyna, but the FL, as you know, if you know your Harley, stands for touring, so it's a touring Dyna. Saddlebags are specific because they're a little skinnier than the big bikes, specific only to the Dyna Switchback. The fenders, front and rear fenders, are, I believe, a Street Glide or touring fender. The wheels are uniquely to the Dyna Switchback. It's got the nice big 103 twin cam, which is nice, but you know, even it's got a touring floorboard. But where the mounts are, obviously, because we're using a Dyna frame, everything changes, and I believe the shifter linkage length changes as well. So finding parts specifically for the FLD Dyna Switchback can be a bit of a problem sometimes, unless it's a universal Harley fit or it's a Dyna part that you can make work. Obviously your suspension, your frame, and that is all the same. Even the front end on the bike is a touring Road King style front end. So this linkage is a universal fit linkage. Now it does adjust out on the ends, and I'll show that when I take it out of the package. But it's still not going to be quite long enough to make the trip. But I'll show you. On your shifter linkage, the part that the actual long linkage attaches to, well, it can come back. So what we're actually going to do is pull this back. Now make sure if you do this that you've got enough clearance that you can shift up and down without it actually hitting the engine or the side cover. And the big trick here is, if you're happy where your shifter placement is, we're going to measure it. And then you can take your shifter off. You can set your linkage where you want it to be to make the new linkage work. And then we'll just put that back on, measure to the height where you're happy with, if that's where you're happy. And that's also something you can do. If you're not happy with where your foot is on your shifters, you can actually just pull this off and move it to where you're comfortable and then tighten it back down again. So I've actually already loosened the original linkage rod. It's a 3/8 wrench. And basically with a 3/8 wrench and a 1/2 inch wrench, you can do most of this job. So there we go, we got the linkage off. Now my shifter linkage, it's going to go to the, spares area. I have my own collection of spares. let's take out our new linkage and have a look at it. So this is the new linkage. And like I was saying, we can adjust this out. Now, you don't want to pull it out so far that the force of you shifting is going to strip this. This is high-grade aircraft aluminum. It is really strong, but still, if you jam on it hard enough, you're going to strip these threads out. So as you can see, it comes out a considerate amount. But a good rule of thumb is 4 to 5 threads. So I'm going to put 4 turns on it. And we're going to run this jam nut down. And we're going to do the same thing on the other end. Okay. So we've got this basically set. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be taking my shifter off. Because while we've got this apart, might as well put some lubrication in here. No grease fittings on these, so if you can, it's always a good thought to pull it apart when you get time and put a little lube in there. So you loosen your shifter pinch bolt. It's a 1/2 inch wrench. Take your shifter off. Slide this out. Now you can see there's a spring washer here. You don't want to lose that. I'm actually going to give it a little wipe down first. And I'm not going to put a lot of grease on here. You don't want dirt and grime to get in there and stick to it and make things sort of gritty and gucky. Just enough that there's a little lubrication in there. We're going to put that back in now. Now the new linkage comes with a new set of hardware. Comes with a black cover. Black cover goes up over the upright linkage at the transmission. Then the difference between the stock linkage and this linkage, which is actually really nice, is that it's got heim joints instead of ball joints. Much more durable. They don't wear out nearly like the ball joint style does. After time on the old linkage, these ball joints that are in here, they'll end up wearing out and possibly even pulling out. Just like if you're familiar with vehicles, the ball joints in your suspension, same idea. So we got our new hardware. So we're going to put the back hardware on. And it threads in, like so. Now we're going to put our front hardware on. So it's got a washer on it, and I'm going to put that washer in between the 2 pieces of linkage. I'm going to start tightening this up. Oh, my apologies, I got to get a different size wrench now. It looks like the new hardware is a 7/16. So your old stuff is 1/2 inch and 3/8. The new stuff looks like it's 7/16 on either side. So let me go get a pair of 7/16 wrenches. Okay, so I've got the proper tools now. So we're going to tighten up the back linkage onto the upright shifter rod. Of course, I didn't tell you, but I put Loctite on those bolts. I use blue Loctite if you want to get it back off again, and you're better off to use the blue. So I'm actually going to reapply to the front. Get our nut back on here. Snug it down. Okay. So when we're at this point, good thing to check. I'm going to show you here. Sorry I move you around so much. Make sure now when you click back to gear, you're not getting close, so I can get my finger between there, to the side of your engine. You don't want shifting difficulties. So I can go both directions, and I'm not coming even close to the engine. There we go. So this linkage, as you can see, I'm spinning it right now. Find your upright spot. Something else to look at. I'm sorry, I'm going to pick you guys back up again. See how I can move that Heim joint and make it move around? That's good. So when you tighten this linkage down, these little jam nuts, make sure you can still move that back and forth. If you've got one tightened one way and one the other, that'll actually bind that joint, and it's going to make it not necessarily harder to shift, but it'll be harder on the actual linkage. So make sure after you've tightened those jam nuts down, you can actually wiggle that shift rod back and forth a little bit. And of course, you want your bar and shield to be upright and nice and pretty. Okay, see, I still have movement in mind. So now it's just as simple as putting the shifter back on. But get your tape measure out, and if you were smart and took your measurement, you know where you'd like it to be. Go. We're on. Put the pinch bolt back in for the shifter. And that's it, guys. Straightforward, pretty easy install, basic tools. Apologize, my bike's kind of dirty right now, but there we go. And like I said, just pay attention to that measurement, and then you're not having to sit on the bike and try and figure out where your toe's comfortable again. This at least gets you ballpark. You might have to fine tune it later on, but perfect. All right, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. If you're doing one of these installs, I hope it's helped you out. It's a Harley, so remember your Loctite, remember your basic tools, remember what I showed you with the Heim joint, and we got a good looking bike. Cheers, guys. Have yourselves a good day.